Welcome to episode 50 of the Rebel Army podcast, the official podcast of Cork City Football Club. And this week, for episode 50, we talk to the longest serving men's first team player. Back with the podcast, and as always, joined by my co-host, Aaron. How are you?
Not too bad, Stephen. How are you?
Good. I suppose a bit disappointed on Friday night.
Sickener again, wasn't it?
Another late show. Look, it's early days in Ger's regime. Like, we can't, look too much into it, I presume.
Yeah. Well, do you know what? I suppose, I know it's happened now a couple of times over the last couple of weeks, but the way of looking at it, I suppose, is this is game one for Ger. It's the first time it's happened in a way it's the first time it's happened under Ger. It obviously isn't how he would have wanted his first game to go. But yeah, look, especially for fans that made the journey up, it's a bitterly disappointing way to end the game.
And to make it worse, a former City player does it to us.
I know, that was the worst part. And do you know what? The celebration broke my heart a little bit. But
yeah, I know. Because he was such a good player for us back in the day when we won the league.
Yeah, former captain.
Yeah.
Former captain.
He was a great player. In fairness, we can't take that away from him, But yeah, it's always nearly worse when Connor or someone like that scores against you,
Yeah, it was a tough one. But I know Ger said we were very good for the first half. Plenty of chances. Could have had a good couple of goals in the first half.
And then Dutchman got another one.
He did from the spot, which I'll be honest, I still now haven't watched it back. But the reaction where I was, for the majority of these games, I'm in amongst the home fans and the local media and stuff like that. But there were a couple of looks thrown towards me as if to say that is absolutely not a penalty. Again, I haven't watched it back, but
yeah, it's a hard one to call. But it's short with the camera angles, anyway.
Yeah, but you know what? I only complain when it shouldn't be a penalty against us. If it's for us, I don't care.
How many penalties should we have had?
Exactly, yeah.
In one match alone, there earlier in the season at the Cross, there was I did about 2 or 3 that we could have had.
Yeah, 100%. So, well taken penalty. A very funny video actually that the League of Ireland had up on TikTok as Gennaro was shaping up to take the penalty and he was setting up, and there's a Galway fan behind the goal who pulls his top up to try and distract him. Didn't work. But yeah, that's on the League of Ireland socials if you want to have a look at that. But it would have been a great clip, I suppose, if he had missed it, and then you could attribute it to that. But no, it was a good penalty, and great to see him scoring again. That's 4 goals for him now since he's come in.
I know Ger has mentioned that he's hoping to hold on to him, so fingers crossed, because he does seem to be getting a knack for scoring goals. That's what you need. Right?
And he's assisting goals as well. The Freddie goal and another assist as well. Was it up in Drogheda?
He gets a boat, yes.
I know he scored 2 in Drogheda, but he's had goals and assists anyway, so that's been a great signing.
No, definitely. He's definitely in a very short space of time. He's had impact.
Absolutely, yeah.
So that's it's key. So I suppose, look, as we said, it's very early days in the new era. So we just kind of have to move on and hopefully more training time this week with the lads.
That's it, exactly. Yeah, he's got more contact time with the players now, and the main thing is a home game to look forward to in front of a big Cork City crowd rather than a big away crowd. So, I know all their focus is on that, and we're all looking forward to it as well. So that's the big one for this week.
At least you had a better result on Saturday anyway when you made the trip from Galway to Belfast.
That was a late show in our favour, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that was brilliant actually. It was a very entertaining game, yeah. The 3 scorers for City were Christina Dring, who scored in the first half, Fianna Bradley with a cracker of a goal, left-footed. The league accounts have that up. It wasn't streamed, but it was recorded, so the goals are available online if you're looking for them. And then the last goal, which caused a bit of controversy, was a 95th, 96th minute free kick from where I was and where we were. It looked like Heidi Mackin's free kick went straight in.
Yeah.
Ciara McNamara is claiming there was a touch. Now, I was talking to her a couple of times afterwards, and even today, and she said it was a light touch, but it was a touch.
But if it was a touch, it was a touch, I suppose.
And there's in her defence, there in the footage, you can ever so slightly see that the trajectory of the ball moves a little bit. So we will give it to Ciara Mack.
In those situations, does it cause a bit of friction, between players? Like, that was my goal, is there a bit of tension afterwards in the dressing room?
You know what? There's almost a running joke with Ciara Mack that she's done the same celebration picture in the last 4 or 5 photo shoots, but we never get to use it. And then the one time she did score, I put up the picture of Heidi Mackin because I thought it was Heidi's goal. So even after the fact, it never got used. So for that alone, I'll give the goal to Ciara Mack.
Give it to her, if she deserves it for the the work she puts in every season for the club. Like,
Absolutely, yeah. And look, great way to end it. I know it was only a draw, but I suppose when you're 3-2 down after 95 minutes, a draw is a great result.
and it's a long old
It
haul
was.
for them.
It was
as well
a long
up the
trip,
country,
yeah.
like, you know.
And I think that's obviously our first point in the group, because we lost the first game to Peamount. Final games against Galway, which is going to be played in Moyne Villa, not in Eamon DC Park. I don't think we can qualify out of the group with that. I think the other results mean that we can't. But
And what was the reception like in Cliftonville? Was there many there?
not really. No, there was an okay crowd, but we played up there 2 years ago in the first season of that cup, and there was definitely a bigger crowd. But no, there was a decent crowd there. A lot of City players' families made the trip up as well, which they always do. To be fair to them, they're up and down the country, no matter where the game is on or when the game is on, which is brilliant.
They probably made a weekend of it and probably stayed in Belfast or something.
Possibly, yeah. I know a lot of them went straight down, and the only reason you know that is because everyone's leaving at the same time. You pass each other a couple of times on the motorway. Do you know what I mean?
Junction 14 on the way.
Junction 14, yeah, that was the spot. Yeah, a lot of the people, went up and straight back down. So a lot of travel for a lot of people.
It is, yeah. Like
but it shows the dedication as well.
Easily 4 hours, probably more. I'd say, is it? Probably 4.5.
4.5, I think, in the end. Yeah, about
and that's
that.
A straight run, no without
And
stopping.
and obviously the bus, the team bus has to stop for a while because the driver has,
Of course,
the hourly limits or whatever the technical term is about how long he has to take breaks for and all that. But yeah, I drove, so I got home a good bit earlier than the bus, thankfully. So long old trip, but as you said, an enjoyable trip, an enjoyable game. So that makes the road home a little bit shorter.
how about our academy? Were they playing over the weekend?
Only a couple of friendlies. The 14s had a tournament up in Waterford, which is brilliant to see. Those kind of things are great for
That's good for
the younger
them
teams.
at that age, yeah.
And then the under-20s were in Treaty for a friendly, but no league games. The 19s women's had a cup game on Sunday in Bishopstown. Lost 2-1 to Shelburne. Shauna Sheehan got the City goal, but that was the group phase of the cup, so they still actually qualify to the next round of the cup, which is brilliant.
Yeah, good. Speaking in the academy, we have an academy graduate. I know he's a man that you've been trying to get in for a long
I've been
time.
trying to get him in for ages.
For the last year, anyway.
For the best part of the last year, anyway, yeah. And I think we spoke about it months ago about trying to get Darragh Crowley in, but we have him today, as you mentioned. He came in, I think he came into the first team shortly after I started working at the club. So you would often see us pull out the hashtag Academy Graduate tweet. I think he was one of the first ones I had to post that about. Brilliant to see he's still here all these years later. He's sort of Mr. Consistent. He's always been around. He's played a number of positions for the club as well. So
And got a couple of nice goals over the years.
he did. He got the halfway line goal in Tala a few years ago.
Yeah.
He got the goal this year in Tala, but the game we won't talk too much about.
We won't.
But yeah, no, he's pretty much Mr. Reliable, I suppose, isn't he?
Well, I suppose he's reliable, all right, because he's waiting for us there outside, so we better bring him in. Welcome to the podcast, Darragh.
Thank you.
Would I be right in saying at this point you're probably one of the longest serving players in the first team right now?
I am. I'm the longest.
You're the longest. 6 years, is it?
About that, yeah.
About
6 and a bit, I'd
Am we
say.
saying kind of like first team probably
First
2019,
team,
is it?
2019, yeah.
I think I was at your first game. I think was it the Munster Senior Cup final? Was that kind of one of your, maybe you probably played friendlies or something
Yeah,
like
I
that?
played friendlies. I'm not sure. I'm actually not sure. Was it Munster Senior League or was it the old
The League
was
Cup,
it
the old one.
the EA Sports Cup or something?
Yeah. Because I think I remember there was a game where it was lashing rain. I think we could have playing Middleton or something like that.
Middleton, yeah, that was
And it was a very small crowd there. I think Jimmy Cahan was the captain on the night, but the rest of the squad was kind of a mix. And I think you could have been in that team, but of course that was John Caulfield
was
in charge. So you've also undergone a couple of managers in your time as well.
Good few managers, right?
I think I was counting a while ago, another maybe 6 as well potentially. I know you went on loan. So would I be right in saying that you went on loan when Neil Fenn came in, or was it before it?
So Fenn came in towards the end of the 19 season, I think.
Yeah.
And then the start of the 20 season, we had the start to that first few games, and then there was COVID. And then when we came back after COVID, then I went on loan.
So you went on loan. Fenn was still in charge, but then when Colin took over, he brought you back at the end of the season.
Yeah. So not the end of the season. Colin came in at the end of the season, and they finished that season. But I was still.
You were still
at Cove, yeah.
Still at
and then
Cove.
the start of next year,
for the following season, for the season we got promoted back from
the season before that.
Oh, was the season before that?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. So it was. Yeah, sure. It was the second year of COVID. Yeah. Which was all a kind of a funny old time anyway in the game with kind of no crowds and stuff like that. I can imagine as well.
Yeah, it was my first real that was my first sort of year playing regularly enough, and
Mm.
as you said, there was no crowd, so I the start of my career, the first few games I played was in the Premier Division, and there was crowds there, but then I didn't play when Fenn came in. I didn't play much for about a year, and then when I came back in, there was no crowds there,
Yeah.
so it was a bit of a strange one, right?
You've seen a lot of change. So like that I suppose 2019 when you came in, you were obviously a young player at the time. Like that was kind of the end of a lot of the kind of the senior squad that had won that double and won 2 cups and stuff like that. There was a kind of a transition period, obviously, with John leaving, but there was still there was a nucleus of a kind of a lot of kind of guys that had been there, done that, bought the t-shirt. I'd imagine you came into that dressing room.
Yeah, there was. I think the year I came in, the start of 2019, that pre-season, the year before, we had been in the cup final, so there was all that team from the cup final. Most of them were still here, obviously, that year. So I came in the start of that pre-season kind of in drips and drabs, and then halfway through the season was when I was in full time. But yeah, like there was lots of players that would have won cups and leagues. The likes of, even like Nults was there, obviously.
Garrod was probably there, was
Yeah,
he? And
yeah. Conor McCarthy was still there.
yeah,
Sean McLaughlin was still there.
he's solid defence, like,
Yeah.
wasn't it? Yeah.
Who else was there? Colm Horgan, Conor McCormack, Gary Buckley, Shep was there. So there was a lot of players there who would have had lots of success, but then at the end of that year, they were all gone.
Yeah, I suppose the fact that the team got, I suppose, at a later stage got relegated, but even the crowds had gone down COVID the following year, but the budgets wouldn't have been there anyway.
Yeah.
There was a lot of changes at the club, and I suppose everyone wanted their own team in as well. So different management, obviously John Cotter took over for a while, but then Neil Fenn wanted his own style. So I suppose he started changing some of the squad and stuff like that. And some of the lads probably felt it was time for a new change themselves.
Yeah, I'd say a lot of them felt that, they had won what they had with the club and just felt it was time for something else.
Like at that stage, yourself, Cian Murphy and Bagsy came up into the first team as their own. You all kind of came up around the same time.
The three of us came in. I think Murph was there kind of the year before.
Yeah.
Then me and Bags came in after that together. There was another couple of lads. Dave Harrington now, obviously.
Yeah.
Rory Doyle was there for a while. Dale Holland. Josh Honohan, I suppose, and Jake O'Brien. We were all the same under 19s team, and we kind of all came up the year that after that year of the first year of COVID, we kind of were all. The three of us, me and the two Keens, were.
You were there
first, and then the next year there was 4 or 5 other lads had come up as well.
But you had all been in the academy together under Colin.
Yeah. I was there now. I'd only signed with the academy when I was 18, so
that was late enough, like, for an academy player, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. I was playing. I played with Strand United first of all when I was younger, about under 7s or something to under 12.
And they're a small enough club, aren't they?
Yeah, very small. Yeah, my dad and my 2 uncles played with them. So me and all my cousins played with Strand, and then after that I went and I played with Inishvilla, with Charlie Lyons. Actually, we were the same schoolboys team, for another 4 or 5 years, and then I played with Kinsale men's team for a year.
Would you actually play with their men's team?
I did, yeah, when I was 16 or 17, I'd say.
That's young enough for kind of senior team, like.
Yeah, it was, but it feels, I don't know, I kind of just gone with it.
And what would they have been, like AUL or something, or Munster Senior League?
No, Munster Senior League. We were Division 2.
Division 2.
We actually got promoted. We were it was us and Park United for the league. We actually lost to Park United at home, and if we'd won, we would have won the league, but we went up anyway. But then after that, I was I left because Richie Holland was in charge of Bandon, and Bandon were in the same division as us, and I think that's how I kind of I was training with the 19s for a few months before. When I was still playing with Kinsale, I was training with the 19s, kind of looking to sign in the summer.
Okay, yeah. And like, did you play like with the Cork selection squads over the years, like, or anything like that, or did that kind of pass you by?
I played the very first year, whatever it was, under 12s or something.
Okay.
Played, and then
Were you in Nishville at the time?
I was with Strand at the time. Yeah, I was playing the age above though with Strand. So I might have been playing under 13s, Strand or whatever, but I was under 12.
And what league would they have been in at the time?
We were in, I don't know, were we ever in the Premier, but we were always Division 1.
Yeah, because I often wondered about lads that are playing with smaller clubs, you know, do they get discovered?
Yeah.
You know, like when they're, like, because I've seen young fellas playing for teams that are way down, but because they're from a country club, they mightn't get the recognition that they deserve, and they could be the best player on their team. Like,
yeah, I know. We actually there was another fella, Dylan Scott was his name. He played with Strand, and he played with City 19s as well, and 17s and 19s. So there was the two of us were on that team. So we were a decent team. But yeah, like I played the first year on the 12s with the development squad, and then the next year I was just gone.
God.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's a blow, like, for a young fella.
Yeah, it was.
Because you think, oh, I'm on a kind of trajectory now to maybe getting into City. Like, you know, if you're getting into a squad under 12s, you might say get into City or Cove in the next couple of years or something along those lines. I know there wasn't the under 14s and stuff back then, but you're thinking down the track, like, probably.
Yeah, it was a blow, but at the same time I was like, I didn't take it too bad. I kind of just said I felt myself, it was their loss, like, and I'm fairly sure they did ask me back for trials after that, a few years after. Not the Kennedy Cup team now, but maybe 15s.
15s, yeah.
And I was just like, no, I'm not going back.
You just made not doing it.
They dropped me a few years ago, like, I'm not coming back.
Fair play for being for having your principles.
Yeah.
And were you playing other sports at the time then?
Yeah,
as well?
I played hurling and football with Kinsale, and the school as well. Played basketball with the school.
What school was that? Kinsale?
Kinsale, yeah, community school.
You weren't in the Young Scientist or anything like that, because they were always familiar with that.
Yeah. Play golf as well. Still play golf now, but I was playing all them sports growing up. But like, soccer was always my number one, you know. I went for a few trials for football and hurling. I know there was for the minors, they changed the minors to under 17s, and that was my first year. Was the first year that were 17s, so I went to the football trials of that, and I got called back again to train. I don't know, did I make the team or what, but there was something else after it. But I had a soccer match, so I said I'm not going.
There probably comes a stage though as well where you kind of have to pick, I'd imagine. Does it like as a teenager, if you want to focus on one of the sports, is it kind of like, I can't do all of them?
Yeah.
Does it come around like 15, 16 kind of?
Well, I still played hurling and football when I was up until I signed with the under 19s, the academy.
And you drop them then?
And then I dropped them, yeah. Not fully, I played a few matches, but
probably afraid you might get injured playing as well. Like,
yeah, no, I did. I played if we were the end of the season now. I think after the first year there was an under 21 hurling game in December or something, and we weren't training, so I played that.
You fell in, like,
yeah.
And then, so like, I'd imagine at that stage, because you're quite late to the game, kind of joining City, you probably didn't have your focus on other things as well. You're kind of saying, okay, like, the thoughts of being a professional footballer probably wasn't coming into your mind, was it?
Well, to be honest with you, my dream growing up was to be a professional footballer.
Yeah.
And like, in the back of my head, I was kind of, for whatever reason, like I knew I was going to be one. Even at like 18 now,
You never
before,
gave up on it.
not even that I was like, I wasn't so like, I'm going to be footballer, I'm going to be footballer. I just knew, well, that's obviously easy for me to say now because I am, but like, I always knew that I'd get a chance, and that when it came, like, that I'd take it or whatever, whether that be whether it was at Cork City, or when I was younger now, if I was going to get a trial somewhere else, I knew that once I got the chance, like, that I was going to take it.
And was there ever talk at any stage when you were younger getting a trial somewhere or anything like that? Never came about?
No, not to my knowledge anyway. I know, obviously I wasn't on the development squads and stuff, so.
So again, if you're not on the radar, like, it's quite hard.
Yeah, because sure, I was playing with Kinsale, like, even when I was 17, so like, I wouldn't have been on anyone's radar really.
And you didn't at any stage think of joining one of the clubs in the city? Because I know some of the lads over the years have moved clubs. We had Jacob Ryan obviously on here last year, and he moved a few clubs out to Lakewood and Corinthians and stuff like that, moved away from y'all as local club. You didn't think of doing something like that to kind of get attention?
No, I actually was on the AUL, the youths. Is that under 18s or something? I was on that when I was 17, and then because I was playing with Inishvilla, but then the next year I was going to Kinsale, and the manager of that was asking me to move to Carrickline or
to one of those
Douglas
clubs,
Hall, or one of them clubs, so that I'd be able to play. But I didn't bother.
You stuck with it.
Yeah.
While when you joined City then as well, you went to UCC, did you?
Yeah.
So you mentioned another player there were to go with a similar kind of background, another defender like yourself, Conor McCarthy. Did you ever talk to him about how he managed to balance playing for City and studying at the same time?
Yeah, I did, I suppose. I kind of knew, Conor before that anyway, because my cousins are from Blarney, and they would have been friends with him, so I actually would have known him. Went on holidays when we were younger together. Not together, but like, I was with my cousins and
In the same kind of
in
group,
the same hotel, like, so I would have known him anyway. So it was easier for me to talk to him and stuff. And yeah, obviously he was able to do it. So I don't know that I ever like have a proper talk with him about it, but I think just even seeing him, I do remember seeing him like finishing training, and he was going into college, like, so then obviously I knew that I was able to do it, and it was possible. So
Yeah, because I'd imagine some of the fans might be wondering, how do you balance that kind of life? Like, how do you balance doing both? Like, but is it a case that you'd skip a couple of the morning lectures if they were on and the training was on at the same time?
yeah,
Is that how you do it? Like,
yeah, I didn't go to many lectures now, to be honest with you, because all of my lectures were on in the morning. But what I will say is I did a lot of study after. When assignments were due and stuff, I would spend hours in the library doing the assignments. COVID was a help to me, because all the lectures were recorded. Sure.
Yeah.
So the first semester there was no there was no COVID, so they weren't recorded. And then after the first semester, first year, they were all recorded, and it was.
Never thought of that actually. For a professional footballer, actually, probably much handier in many ways.
Yeah, it was.
Because like obviously, like, I do lecturing as well, and I've had a lot of sports people over the years, and I remember seeing a lot of them missing classes and stuff, and often wonder how they balancing this. I've had people from Munster Rugby and stuff like that over the years and stuff like that, and they'd be missing classes because they're away, and it's it's a huge challenge because training commitments are not to mind travel.
Yeah, I suppose my main thing was that I was when I was missing the lectures, like, I would catch up on them. I know there was a few other lads that would have been in the similar boat, and they weren't catching up on the lectures, and
okay,
it that sort of
That catches up on you after a while. Like.
Yeah, it does. Yeah.
But I presume you got to the end. You got your degree, did you?
I did. Yeah, I did. Yeah.
So that's a great thing to have in the back pocket as well. For like, obviously, football is a small enough career. Like over the if of your lifetime.
Yeah.
You probably have to think about the future as well.
Yeah, I would have always. My dad would have always been on to me about that. Just to get the degree done. And once you've the degree done, then you can do what you want.
And you can come back to it and add on to it or whatever at a later stage.
How important it is, like, like I'm not playing in the Premier League. Like I can't retire when I'm finished playing football. You're going to have to do something. And I'm in a good position to be able to, like, in regards to contracts now and stuff. Like there will be a lot of footballers who will be worried come the end of the season, end of every season. Of
it's the nature of the League of Ireland too, isn't it?
What's going to happen now? Like I need to find another contract, or else
what do I do
next? Whereas, I'm kind of, I know that if and when that day does come, like I have something to fall back on.
That you'll pursue whatever, with business information systems you do, is it?
Yeah.
Like you'll pursue that as a career then or something related.
Something along those lines. Yeah.
And that'll be the next chapter of your life then at that stage. But like I said it to one or two of the other lads in some of the other podcasts, do you ever talk to the younger, or does the likes of Liam ever get you in to talk to some of the younger players about the importance then of kind of sticking with education?
Yeah, there's obviously there's a few lads now at the moment doing their leaving cert, and I wouldn't have long conversations with them, but a few comments now, like Matty Kieran now was saying, I was asking about him because he's doing leaving cert in a few weeks, and he was saying like he gets tired after training, and I was just like, just do the study, like
do it,
just do it.
I know it's hard, like, but keep at it, like do your best anyway.
Yeah, that's all. Like that's another thing my dad would have said. Like he doesn't care if I get an A, B, or a C. Like if a C is my best, that's all I can do. If an A is my best, that's all I can do. So like, you just have to do your best, and if you do your best, then you can't complain after that.
And like that must have come into your mind in 2023 when you got the bad injury. No, not 2023, 2024. What am I saying? I'm going back over a year ago when you got the cruciate.
Yeah,
that must have come into your mind.
Yeah.
Like you must have said, okay, am I going to recover from this, or will I get a contract back or whatever?
Yeah, I always knew that I was gonna play again. I know at the time the club had told me fairly early on, like, that not to worry and stuff, that there was going to be a contract for me there next year.
So it happened in the Premier Division, but then you obviously, are you kind of worried in the club is going into the First Division? Is there going to be budget cuts here? Or might,
Yeah. Yeah, it was strange, obviously, at that time, because there was nothing I could do about where the club was going. But I had been told, obviously you can't know until you've signed your contract, like, but there wasn't much worry for me, as you said, because if it did happen, like, I wasn't going back to nothing. Like, I had, a plan B.
Spoke to Connor about it as well, and it's a tough injury. You've been through the whole process. He's still obviously on the mend. Like, it's hard. I'd imagine it's a hard slog.
Yeah, it's boring.
Yeah. 9 months on your own, kind of, in many ways.
Yeah. I kind of took it that I was just going to do everything properly and everything right, because I know there was one of the lads that plays football in Kinsale, and he did his 2 or 3 times. He's older now, he's about 30 something in it, but he was messing with we were all around the place, we were all together, and it was after I had done it, and he made a joke, and he was like, how many more times are you going to do it? And everyone started laughing, and I was just like,
that's not, yeah.
I was just like, I'm going to do this properly. Like,
Yeah. Get yourself fully recovered,
yeah,
not jump back in.
yeah.
And how do you know you're at that stage? Like, I mean, you're obviously back and forth with doctors or something, or like, or how do they know that you're fully recovered at that point?
As in,
The leg is ready to get.
yeah. So there's a sort of a timeline or a, whatever you call it, a protocol. So you have to follow that. It's like after, I think, 6 months, you go see the surgeon. You do a few. He does a few tests, or just checks it out, knowing that you're not ready yet. And then after 9 months or so, you have to see him again. And you just do like a few hops and things like that to compare your two legs.
I presume they're like a sports specialist. Are they, or are they just guys based here locally? Or
Yeah. What was his name? Declan Bowler, I think is his name. From the Bonds, but he does a lot of sports injuries, I'd say. Knees now and things like that. But then obviously you have Joe in the Mardyke physio. You're seeing him every few weeks, and then there's the you have to do the Biodex test, it's called. After maybe 8 months, and then just before you return to play, just to see the strength between your two legs and see how similar they are, because the actual graft that they put into your knee for your new ACL, that's like, once that's in, it's I think it takes something like, it's either I think it's 2 years post op. It's still getting stronger and stronger. So like after a year, when you, let's say a year, you start playing again, like it's not as strong as it can be. It keeps getting stronger and stronger until 2 years, and after 2 years, it's like as strong as it'll get.
strong as it'll be.
And I think it's something like double as strong as as an ACL, so it's twice as strong.
Wow.
Something like that anyway.
So do you have to watch the other leg as a result, kind of, if one
Yeah,
leg is
you have
stronger
to
than the other?
do, because obviously you're doing all single leg exercises and stuff, but you have to make sure that you do both sides. Like,
it's a fierce commitment though, to make sure that you get back to that level.
yeah. Like even the first few months, there's maybe the first few weeks, you're doing like just these, because you can't straighten or bend your knees, so you're doing the exercises. I know that Connor tell you, but like you have to do just these basic, simple rehab exercises 3 times a day.
Monotonous kind of stuff.
Yeah, and like 3 times a day every day. I set alarms on my phone now, like 10 o'clock, 2 o'clock, and 6 o'clock, and every time the alarm went, I was down on the floor doing the rehab.
Yeah, but people don't see that side of it.
Yeah,
it's good. Like, I often think of that. There's probably supporters even that play a sport in some capacity, listening to this, and might be even going through their own injury, and it does take effort.
Yeah.
Even when you're injured,
Yeah.
it's not a case you're just back playing the PlayStation or something.
You can't do nothing, because like if you were supposed to do nothing, the doctors and physios would tell you just do nothing, but they don't.
Yeah. If you want to get back to playing.
Yeah. So like you just, and that was my mindset, was like football is what I love, and if I want to get back playing, like you can't take any shortcuts.
So by the time when you got injured, Richie was in charge at the time, wasn't he?
Colin
was gone at that
Colin
stage.
was gone. Colin left, and I think maybe 4 or 5 games later, that's when it happened.
So by the time you come back playing, there's a different guy in charge.
Yeah.
So that in itself, you kind of have to prove yourself then right in the middle of a season. I'd imagine that's tricky itself.
Yeah. I feel though, like my whole career, I've had to, not that I've had to prove myself, like, but for example, now this year, the start of this season was the first season I started the first game of the year, because I feel like
Every other season,
every other season I was like someone else was playing, and then I had to prove myself again to be playing and to start. And then after a couple of games every season, like I'd be back starting. So I wasn't.
But you obviously have a lot of resilience. So, like going back to what you said, we'll go subconsciously. You said that you always want to be a professional footballer. So you've that kind of nearly stubbornness in you has never given up.
Yeah.
Despite maybe not starting, you've pushed on.
Yeah. I suppose like I don't know. I don't feel sorry for myself.
And it's very easy to feel sorry for yourself as a footballer if you're injured or left out, I'd imagine.
But like I will have seen over the years, like people who do feel sorry for themselves, like it doesn't work out for them. The only way you're gonna get your place back, for example, is by putting your head down and working hard.
Showing you deserve to be in there.
You're not gonna get your position back by sulking.
Yeah. This season, it could be very easy to feel sorry for yourself, I'd imagine.
Yeah.
With the results. It's totally different to the first division.
Yeah, totally. It's
huge step up.
Yeah. Big step up in terms of sort of like you see the goals we're conceding. It's like you'd get away with them in the first division.
Have you seen the league change like in the space of 2 seasons, like obviously from 2023 to 2025, like obviously the sellout crowds and all that, but like have you seen teams advance as well since the last time you were there? Like have you seen it kind of pushing on a bit? You know, we've seen a couple of international signings and things like that kind of player. Yeah, a lot of younger players kind of coming in their internationals as well.
Yeah. I wouldn't say I notice a huge difference. That's not to say that there is. But there is obviously the crowds now. Like even going up to Shells now, like, and they're sold out every week.
That wouldn't have been the case before.
No.
It's amazing the difference for the likes of those clubs. And like in terms of like what do you like? Obviously, you've conceded a lot of last minute goals, including not last minute, but against Galway the other night, another late goal. Is it a kind of psychological thing? Do you think at this stage, or what do you put it down to?
I'm not sure, to be honest. I know, sort of at this stage now, it's not bad luck. You know, if it happens this.
Yeah, you will get bad luck every now and again.
Every now and again, but like the amount of times it's happened to us, like it's not down to luck anymore. What it's down to, I just think, you know, we have to learn to, as I said, at the first division, you get away with them things. So as a team, like, you know, you just have to sort of learn, and you're not going to get away with these small details now at this level, because you will be punished. It seems like every small mistake we make, like, we get punished and we concede a goal. Like the other night now, for example, against Galway, like 2 mistakes and we've conceded 2 goals. I think they've only had 2 shots in the game. They might have had more, but you know, they only had 2 proper chances and they take those 2 chances.
And you're getting punished.
And we're getting punished, yeah.
Well, like, but it has to be hard to take, like, and the morale must be very low as a result of the late goals, because there's one thing losing the game kind of 2-0, but the goals are scored earlier in the match. But I'd imagine the late goals are really, you know,
it's a soft
especially
punch,
like you get back into the game, you know, 10 minutes left, it's 1-1. Okay, you could push on, get the winner. Next thing, another.
Yeah, it is. It's hard to take. As a team, you know, we're all sitting in the dressing room after, like, just distraught, like.
Yeah.
It's not a nice feeling. And you know, it's a feeling we've had a couple of times this year. Obviously too many for anyone's liking.
What was the feeling like when Tim decided to walk away? Were you shocked?
Yeah, I was a small bit.
Had you any sense? Had he said anything in the dressing room beforehand or anything before
No.
the game or in training during the week or anything like that?
No, none.
So the first he heard of it was it after the match that night?
After the match, yeah.
Yeah. So that's a kind of, I'd imagine that's a kind of a shock to the system, and then another worry about what's going to come next.
Yeah. Yeah, it was. Yeah, it's a shock. All right. But at the same time, as you said earlier, like
You've been there
the
before.
managers I've had, like, and not just me, obviously, but like every player has played for loads of managers. It's not a new thing that a manager will leave. You kind of, for the first sort of maybe day or two after, it's kind of a bit of a shock, but then you realize and remember like that this always happens.
Was it reassuring that there was a new guy brought in fairly quick?
Yeah, it was. I know the Cairns and the two Gregs had said that they just said they were in charge for the week after the Pats game. And they kind of, I think they said, if there's a manager appointed, that this was the Monday morning. They said if the manager's appointed, tomorrow, Thursday, Friday, they said that like it doesn't matter, that they are still taking us for the week. But when they had said that, that was kind of
you had an idea that
there was someone.
Yeah, they probably had an inkling themselves,
probably,
probably told this is only temporary.
Yeah.
There'll be someone else coming to take over.
Yeah, it wasn't like they were saying, we're here for the foreseeable. It could be a week, could be 2 weeks. They said it was this week, and so then in my head, I kind of, then that someone is either someone's lined up or the club don't want to take long making this decision.
So Jordan's come in. He's literally only been in a week and a half.
Yeah.
He's probably still trying to get to know you, I'd imagine, at this stage.
Yeah, he is, I'd say, yeah. And we're still trying to get to know him, obviously. But he has made his ideas and sort of how he wants us to play. He has, made it very clear for us about what he wants from us and what he demands from us. So that's a good thing. A week and a half of new manager, and he's not giving you mixed messages of sort of different things. He's telling us what he wants.
Very focused.
Very, very focused, yeah, and very sort of clear and definitive of what he wants.
I know he was on with us last week. I think it's quite obvious he'd probably want to sort out the back first and probably build from the back. I'd imagine that's probably something that he said to you as well, like sort out that problem first and then the rest will solve itself, I'd imagine.
Yeah. A lot of it was, he said, that we do need to control games more. Because if you control games more, you don't have to defend as much. But obviously at the same time, the defensive side of it as a whole team needs to be better, and the mistakes that are being made need to be eradicated.
And like we've said it a few times, Conor was saying it, like you haven't been really out of touch in most of the games, bar that Shamrock Rovers game. You haven't, like, it wasn't a case that you've been hammered week in, week out or anything like that. You've been in the games, you've been leading in games, you've been in it on, besides those late goals. I think you've lost the most points from kind of winning positions and stuff like that as well this season. So there's maybe a couple of tweaks there to a team that can kind of really put it up to the others.
Yeah, like we've, as you said, that Shamrock Rovers game away from home, that was the only time where like we've come off the pitch and have said, okay, like they played much better than us and we deserve to lose that game. I'm not sure. I don't think any other game, like, we've come off the pitch and we've said, okay, we deserve to lose that game.
And to think he drew with them at home then.
Yeah.
And now look at the gap that they're creating at the top of the league. So they are clearly the front runners at the moment.
Yeah,
and especially with players coming back into their squad, they have the strength and depth.
Yeah. The players they bring off the bench is, it's a joke.
Yeah. Like when you mentioned Josh a while ago, and he's obviously called up to the Irish squad and he's on their bench the other night.
Yeah.
You know, like not many clubs in the country could afford.
Yeah. Matt Healy as well. Like he was on the bench on, was it last Friday? Not last Friday, Friday before. He was on the bench because they had a game on Monday. He said, "Yeah, we've a game Monday." So
that's what you're dealing with.
Yeah.
So all those runs in Europe has probably really helped them, I'd imagine, at this stage with squad development. And on the flip side of that, we've lost a lot of players, I presume, to injury. That has caused a real impact, especially up front.
Yeah. Obviously, we lost Shawnee and Greg. I don't know, was it the third or fourth game against Waterford?
Yeah.
They've missed, I don't know how many games they missed, but like they missed a part of the season where we had 3 weeks. We had Friday, Monday. So they missed. I think Greg said the other day he was out for 8 weeks or something, and I think he missed like 11 games, something like that. And then obviously we lost Keats as well. Malik, all in the forward areas. But in saying that, like we still scored.
That's true.
I think there's only one game we haven't scored in.
Yeah.
It's Pats at home, which we did play well. They scored 2 crackers from outside the box, like. But obviously the disruption then with the team, and as you were talking about there with the Rovers bench, like, you know, we're losing how many 5 or 6 players out. So then like
throwing in some young lads and stuff like that are new, like that's probably easier in the first division too. It's a bit trickier, I'd imagine, in the Premier Division.
Yeah, and it's not fair on them either, like to, you know, be bringing them on up in Derry away from home, like we're looking for. I don't know, was it 2-1 or whatever it was, and we're bringing on young fellas to.
Yeah,
it's like,
tough going.
Yeah,
but I know there's been a couple of bad results, but what's the general feeling in the squad at the moment now with a new manager in there? Is there a kind of sense of a reset?
Yeah, there's a good bit of optimism, to be honest. Because as you said earlier, like, you know, we've been in all the games. It's not as if we're getting hammered or we're getting beat well and stuff like this. Like, we're in all the games that we play. So as a team, like, we know that we are a good team. It's not as if we're not able to make the step up or we're not up to the standard, like. And then obviously with new manager coming in and the sort of new ideas and the clear messages, it's I'm excited anyway, personally, and looking forward to us improving and getting over the line in games that we're playing well, and then we go 1-0 up or 2-1 up or whatever, and getting the results, because there have been lots of games where like 100% deserve to win and we're coming away with a draw or a loss. So it's like we haven't been too down throughout the season because of that. We are playing well. Obviously not playing well for long enough and not getting over the line and not grinding out results. But yeah, like looking forward to changing it.
And in general, I'd say the supporters have been kind of good. Like, haven't they? Like, there hasn't been that much negativity in the crossing, despite results and stuff like that. It seems like there's a lot of support for you to push you on.
Yeah, I feel like they can see that we're playing well, and even more importantly, like they can see that we're working hard and we're trying hard. Like there's no one out there throwing in the towel. We're all pulling in the same direction, So that is something that, you know, the Cork fans do really appreciate is hard work.
They want to push on.
Yeah.
And you'd imagine they'll also be excited about, you know, a new era at the club which you're taking over and the first kind of home match from now on Friday night. I'd imagine that's something that, you know, hopefully a good result and they'll, you know, we'll push on to the next stage.
Yeah. Looking forward now to Friday. So should the fans be. Yeah, like a win will be huge for us. And that's what we're going out to do.
And that's the mindset.
Yeah.
And obviously then in the next couple of weeks, potentially Joe was talking about there could be new faces coming in. But again, as the longest serving player, you've probably seen a lot of faces come and go over the years.
Yeah.
How do you adjust to that? Like, you know, like you're probably making friends and they're probably gone again within a couple of months.
Yeah, you just get used to it.
Yeah.
Just get used to it, really.
Was it sad to see some of the lads that you kind of grew up with leave earlier in the year?
Yeah, it was. You know, the likes of Bags now and even Barry Coffee and stuff.
They've been around a while, like.
I've been around a while, but they're only over the road anyway, so.
That's true, I suppose. Yeah. But and on the flip side of that, then two other lads, as you mentioned, obviously Josh and then Jake. It must be good to see the likes of them playing for in the Irish squad and Jake obviously playing in the Premier League.
Yeah, it's mad to see the different, you know, the hundreds of players that you play with and where they're all going. Like, you know, there's a few lads now that are in America, Australia, then obviously Jake's in the Premier League, and you know, just
guys go all over the place,
go all
don't they?
over the place, yeah. And just like the sort of different lives people can have and where people go.
It's a crazy game for that, like in terms of literally there's loads of different opportunities, but I suppose it's not all good too. There's probably fellas that have dropped out that were playing with you underage as well, and that's kind of sad as well, I'd imagine at times.
Yeah. Yeah, like there would be a few lads now that you'd see around the place now. And you see them and, you know, they might be playing or whatever. But then you look at the other lads, obviously Jake, like everyone would want to be playing in the Premier League.
Yeah.
But it doesn't
work out for everyone.
How it goes, like, yeah.
Yeah, but I'd imagine you're not jealous of him. Like, you're probably delighted for him. And
I'm not jealous of him because he's playing for Everton and I'm a Liverpool fan, so.
Yeah.
But yeah, you know, like, it's just, and seeing him now and Josh getting in the Ireland squad, like, you're just delighted for him, like.
Yeah. And it shows the work that's being done at the academy at City, like, because I know, like, they've only been there for a year or two in some cases, some longer now or whatever, but it's still great to see so many players coming through and ending up in the Irish squads.
Yeah. Yeah, even now, even Jaden, like, over in Portugal, you know, he was only here he was only the first team for a few months, like, but.
And you probably track their progress, yeah?
Yeah. Yeah, and himself, like, even Franco as well, and Joe, Brian Whitmarsh.
And Mark, I suppose. And
yeah, Mark as well. Yeah, you do keep an eye out for him, and then every now and then, like, he'll
you see
come up and he'll be scoring a goal or something.
And then obviously Cahill is joining Joe and Mark in the under-21s.
Yeah.
So you must be all delighted for him as well to kind of get the call up. And
yeah, he deserves it, to be fair. He's some player. But yeah, you can, like, even there was, I don't know, was there some, was it the 19s or whatever it was, and Joe and Mark and Franco, I think they were all playing on the same team.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
All City lads all grew up together and then they played for our country together as well.
Yeah.
But like, speaking of those big experiences, talking to Connor 2 weeks ago, and we were on about whether he'd make it back for the Celtic game. He won't. Obviously, you played hurling and football and stuff like that. Are you looking forward to playing in Páirc Uí Chaoimh in the summer?
Yeah, I am, yeah. There was, I remember the only other time I'd be on the pitch was the Cork City Sports used to be on there.
Oh, the Cork City Sports, yeah.
Back in the
Unless
day.
you made it with the Skeena Skull or something like that, maybe.
Yeah, I played Skeena Skull as well, was that? I don't know.
You'd
I
probably
think
have to
that
get to
was
a final or something.
Yeah. We played a final, that was in Páirc Uí Chaoimh as well, yeah. So I was on then and then the Cork City Sports as well. But that was the old park. Like.
The old park.
Yeah.
You get the chance to play in the new park. And
Yeah. Well, I've played on the Astro now out the back.
oh, have you?
So I've been in the dressing rooms and stuff, but
Not on the main pitch.
No.
Obviously, it's a big pitch as well. Like,
Yeah.
I'd imagine they're going to shorten it a bit.
Yeah, better, yeah.
Yeah, because otherwise there'll be a
You
lot
get
of
to run
running on
around,
the
yeah.
day, especially against Adam Ida or someone like that who's quite fast.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like I know Conor was saying that, you know, even playing against someone like Stoke, for him, he thought like that was a great experience, and we often forget about that. Like those friendly games they probably are good experiences, like just to get a chance to play against guys that are internationals and stuff like that.
Yeah, you kind of you get to see the levels of the game, you know. And then, you know, it's kind of up to you whether you think that you're up to it or you're not, you know.
Yeah. Because you've had, am I right in saying you kind of had one experience of Europe?
Yeah.
Back in, when was that, 1920, was it?
Yeah.
Yeah, that season.
Yeah, we played. Who was it we played? I don't know who we played. Yeah. It was Luxembourg anyway.
I was in the Europa League.
Yeah. Yeah, so I played, I don't know, was it 5 minutes at home, then went over to Luxembourg and stuff. But I think if we'd won that, we were playing Rangers.
Yeah, it's mad. That would have been what could have been.
I know.
Well, that would have been probably a nightmare for the guards, but that'd be a different story. But yeah, but but I'd imagine in the back of your mind that has to be a goal in the future, is to get back into Europe again, you know, over the next couple of years.
Yeah, definitely. I think that's obviously the goal for every club in the Premier Division. You know, there's 10 teams and there's 4 spots for it. So it's, you know,
there's a good chance of getting in.
Basically 50-50, like.
Yeah. And a lot of you haven't experienced it. Obviously, Shawnee and Greg and stuff like have, but there's an awful lot haven't.
Yeah.
And would love another chance to travel around Europe.
Yeah, it's definitely for me to experience it again. Like, it would be brilliant.
I suppose at the moment the priority is to get a full season back under your belt, the first in a while.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's more than a year now since I'm back playing, but obviously a full season start to finish. Been a couple of years since I've done that, so
that's the goal, and hopefully the team kicks on.
Yeah.
But listen, Darragh, thanks a million for coming in, and it's great to get an insight into the feeling at the club at the moment as well. And I know it's a tricky time, and probably a tricky one to answer, because it's a kind of a strange time, but hopefully the start of something good.
Yeah.
So best of luck for the rest of the season.
Thank you.
That was actually a fascinating discussion, I think. It
was brilliant. Yeah, really, really good chat. Darragh's really good at this stuff. He hates doing this stuff, but he's really good at it. So great that we heard from him, and he kind of walked us the whole way through from his time back playing for Strand. Completely forgot he played for Strand United as well there out my way, up to where he is now as an established first team player with well over 100 appearances for the club. So brilliant to see him, brilliant to hear his story.
Plenty of ups and downs over the years as well.
Yeah, struggled with injury.
Lots of managers as well that he's had to prove himself to.
Yeah, it's an interesting one as a player, I suppose, because you're nearly back to square one anytime a manager comes in, because obviously no one is guaranteed a place, so they have to impress the new man each time, which he's doing again now with the new manager in Jar coming in.
But just listening to him, there's definitely a toughness in him that, you know, that stands to him, that he kind of believes in himself, not in an arrogant way, but is determined.
Yeah, it's
no matter what,
absolute determination. You know, you hear when he was talking there. I think the first time you mentioned it was when he was younger. Yeah. It wasn't a case of I want to be a professional footballer. It was I will be a professional footballer, which
it's a great mindset.
He almost went and manifested his way to being here, which is great.
We all talk about nowadays, that you have to kind of visualize something to be it.
Yeah. You have your end goal in your sight, and that's how you get to it. And the other one was when he did get the ACL injury. People were saying, you know, someone else had done it a few times, and they were saying how many times he's going to do it, and he made the decision like, I'm doing this properly so that I won't do it again. Thankfully, touch wood, he's come back from that injury and he's been brilliant. He's been he's one of those players he's always in the team, as you mentioned before. He's played a number of different positions. He's pretty much played everywhere bar being in goal, and he does a good job.
I was correcting myself earlier on in the two. I was saying 23, then I said 24, but actually it was 23.
It was 23, yeah. It was the
so I
Premier
was right
Division in
first there.
23.
I was like, but
Drogheda
of
away,
course,
yeah.
it happened in the middle of one season and didn't come back until the middle of the other
Yeah,
season.
fourth
And lots
season.
of changes.
Yeah.
You know, that's what I was saying. Like, it must be tricky enough for a player like that. Like, you're seeing lots of changes happening around the club and you're wondering, where do I stand? You know, like, I'm trying to get fit.
I suppose on that front, yeah, like we were talking about having to impress a new manager, but I suppose after Darragh got injured, Tim Clancy came in as manager, who probably wouldn't have known a lot about Darragh,
and then establish his own team.
Yeah, and he's watching a team on the pitch while Darragh, like Connor was saying last week, is sitting in the stands watching them train or watching them play and not getting to mix in and be involved and put himself about so that the manager can see him. So,
and I thought it was interesting how he was talking about there's no point feeling sorry for yourself because he's seen fellas go downhill by feeling sorry for themselves.
Yeah, and I suppose when you're in that position, if you are sitting there feeling sorry for yourself, it can't actually change anything. Do you know what I mean?
And you probably won't get back to full fitness either.
Yeah, you need that, as we mentioned a while ago, it's the determination that he's shown throughout his...
No, fantastic. As I said, there's people probably listening to this that are going through their own injuries.
Yeah.
And they're probably playing sports, and it could be at junior level or whatever.
Doesn't matter the level, the principle is the same.
The same thing. And like I think that's great advice that he was given there for him, like, you know.
Absolutely, yeah. Like as we mentioned, he's such a young player and it's still the early stages of his overall career. But at the same time, he's a well experienced player who's been through a lot of the ups and downs, as you said, and has dealt with the highs of winning trophies, the lows of relegation, the highs of being at the top of your game and the lows of an injury like that. So it's...
But there's still a hunger there to get back at it.
Yeah, you can see that, even in the way he's talking, yeah.
And he wants to get back into Europe, which we all do.
Yeah.
You know, so, like, and it sounds by, you know, that there's already kind of, I suppose, a positive reset happening with Jordan. They're excited about it.
Everyone's excited about it.
You know?
From players, staff, fans, Jar himself as coming in as the manager of Cork City FC. That's an exciting thing for anyone, so...
And we don't have long to wait for the first home match anyway, so it's this coming Friday.
Yeah, against our old rivals.
Yeah.
Damien Duff's Shelburne, as they're called these days.
The man in the fields.
I know, yeah. He'll be in the dugout anyway, because I think
he's back in the dugout, isn't he?
His suspension has been served.
Over.
So
yeah, they've had a mixed season, up and down. Obviously doing better than us at the moment, but they're not kind of bursting away like they did last year.
Yeah, true. And I suppose that comes down to, again, the fact that the league is so tight like it was last year. Anyone can beat anyone. That's the side of it that we'll be looking at going into Friday. Yeah, it is good that Jar hasn't had to wait long. Like, if this had been an away game, then you're going to a break and you've a couple of weeks before a home game. It's not ideal. So he's straight into it now, really. He had one away game under his belt into Turner's Cross now on Friday. There will be a loud crowd because it's Shelburne. Any Dublin team at Turner's Cross brings out a loud city crowd.
Yeah, and you're hoping now we get a good crowd now as well on...
Yeah, because it's the last one before the break. That's the point. If you're listening to this, like, after this, there's not going to be a home game again for another couple of weeks. So,
and it's been a few weeks since we've had one as well.
Yeah, we had a few there in a short space of time, and then
again, yeah,
there's a break again before the next one. But it's we need to nearly cherish the home games now. Get the good buzz back at Turner's Cross. Not that it hasn't been there; it has been there with the run of results we've had. You want to get the feel good factor back. So,
no, it's exciting, and you know, coming into the June weekend. Wow, a great way to kind of start the June weekend as well on Friday night.
Overall, good weather, not the last couple of days, but the last couple of weeks and this week have been fairly decent, I suppose we could say. Yeah, long may that continue, and hopefully on Friday continues and there's a nice evening at the Cross.
Yeah, and people can wish Cahill all the best as well for his call up
in the
21s.
Brilliant, isn't it?
We were talking about people representing their country and stuff last week, and there he is getting the call up, going from the 19s to the 21s. Fantastic.
Brilliant, yeah. And I know there was an article earlier this week or towards the end of last week with Jim Crawford, the 21s manager, who was very complimentary of Cahill, which is brilliant to see. He's obviously been watching him for a while and knows a lot about him. So I actually saw Jim at a couple of our games, especially in Dublin. So he was obviously watching Cahill and others. So yeah, that's very encouraging and it's brilliant for him. It's always great for us as well to see a Cork City player included at international level, no matter the age group or the level. So that's brilliant.
Yeah, and he'll be joining former players Mark O'Mahony and Joe's
in the squad as well, yeah.
So there's I know I think they use Mark actually, the FAI as the kind of
in the image they did, yeah.
So it was great to see that as well. You know, so
another little victory for the county of Cork.
Yeah, and as we said there, obviously Jake O'Brien is in the senior squad, and Josh is I I know he's with Rovers, but he's still a former player, and
Yeah. It's it'll
bittersweet.
split opinion, obviously.
Bittersweet, but congrats to him. You know,
it is. It is a Cork City FC Academy graduate who's
and Darragh said like he came into the squad, like a lot of them came in after him. Actually,
yeah, they did actually. Yeah,
you know, so it's you know, that's it's great. And
from an academy development point of view, it's brilliant to see.
Yeah. And speaking of another former player that was in the academy, congrats to Alan Brown, who got promoted with Sunderland.
Yeah,
at the
do you know what? I forgot he was at Sunderland, to be honest, until I saw a picture of him with the cup this morning. So yeah, no, that's brilliant.
His first time in the Premier League after all those years with Preston,
He never got there.
His first season with Sunderland, and
there he goes.
Brilliant
to see. No, that's I'm delighted to see that.
I'm delighted for him. He deserves it because he's been a great player, both for club and country over the years, and he's great, like just solid player, never puts a foot wrong.
Captained Ireland on a number of occasions as well, which is
so
great to see for
best
us.
of luck to him. And another two former Cork City players in the Irish squad. I think we mentioned that the last time, and they're playing next week. The Irish women's team in Páirc Uí Chaoimh, so that'll be the first football match of two in Páirc Uí Chaoimh in the next couple of weeks. And Saoirse and Denise will be playing there for the Irish team next week.
Yeah, we actually had a picture up this morning. Saoirse was out in Bishopstown last week with the women's under-17s, kind of took a quick session and had a chat with them, which was brilliant to see. So brilliant to see her back in Bishopstown. And as you said, we'll all be supporting her and the rest of Ireland, the Ireland squad.
The rest of them, yeah.
In Páirc Uí Chaoimh in 2 weeks' time. So, or a week's time now, actually, isn't it?
A week's time.
Yeah.
Actually,
so,
a week from tomorrow.
A week tomorrow.
Yeah.
So that's brilliant to see.
The women don't have a game this weekend, have they? Because of the international break.
Yeah. So a lot of those now. I know we were talking to Darragh after his interview there. A lot of players now from men's, women's across the league are planning little holidays and little weekends away and stuff. So this is their
mid-season break.
There's a few of them going away. Yeah. So I think the next game now is
watch
against
Beat or somewhere.
Yeah. The next game is against Galway in the All Ireland Cup again. So
so
a week off and then back to that.
Yeah, so the focus definitely will be on Páirc Uí Chaoimh, and obviously, as we said to Darragh there as well, he's looking forward to the Celtic game, then the Super Cup.
Yeah, that's creeping up on us now as well.
It is, yeah. No, Celtic are finished their season. They lost on penalties.
They lost the cup today, yeah, I saw that.
Yeah, but so and I forgot actually that Kasper Schmeichel was on goal from as well. So that'll be
another big name.
Another big name. You forget about the lads who plays from. I just threw it on at the end there the day. I was kind of watching to see because when you're not involved in a match, when there's a penalty shootout, you kind of like watching them.
Yeah, true. It's a bit more excitement when you don't have a dog in the fight. Like you just watch and enjoy.
So it's
one other thing to mention this week is you might have seen, if you have the Cork City app on your phone, there's been a bit of an update, a new lick of paint on it this week. So a couple of new features. The update's been pushed out. So if you haven't already seen it, go download it. There's a couple of things you can upload your own videos and stuff into the app, kind of user generated content kind of things.
Oh, very fancy.
We'll have bits of polls and quizzes and stuff. So we've done a bit of work on that. You might see it if it hasn't come out to you already. It'll be coming to you over the next couple of days. So keep an eye out.
It's all about that. Like what like I suppose football all over the world now is all about like what the fans are generating as well.
Yeah. But you see it on a Friday night, the amount of focusing on my role. I get the notifications, the Instagram stories and stuff, and the tweets that people send in, and the videos that people either email after the fact or DM to the club. Everyone is at the game. Everyone has their phone out. They're filming. They're doing their own little bits of content. So, and
I know there's probably all the lads listening to this probably saying that's a lot of nonsense or whatever. But this is actually the way. Like this is the younger generation. This is how they identify with things in general, and in particular with football, and how they support clubs.
Yeah, how people are watching football. I think we mentioned it a couple of weeks ago, but you look now at the Baller League in England. Obviously, very different to traditional football, but there's an interest there in that. You look at the interactions we get on social media across the different platforms, the followers, the different types of content as well that people interact with. It's interesting how it's changed and how that's where a lot of people go to watch their goals. Like a lot of people don't watch full highlights anymore. They might watch clips of the goals. You go to TikTok, you see that. We have a huge following on TikTok now. It's our most followed platform by a significant margin. Like we're 3 times bigger than everything else. We've just hit 150,000 on it. So
they're big numbers.
Yeah, big numbers for a League of Ireland club.
How many views are you getting on a video then when you put it up?
On TikTok?
Like on average, like?
It depends, because to be honest, the way the TikTok algorithm works, a video can be buried or a video can be completely carried. So you could get, depending on what it is, if it's a funny video, a goal, like there's a couple of TikToks have over 1 million views. Like, so yeah, it's really good.
It's a great form of marketing for the club. Like,
it is, and you see the people who are following and interacting, and the sort of geographical spread of where they're from. It's not just Ireland. If you look at the demographics, the following, there's a lot of followers in Europe, the UK, and America as well. So yeah, no, that's brilliant to see. It just, I suppose, highlights what you were saying there about how people consume content, football content now.
Yeah, and it's something the League of Ireland, I think, have embraced really well over the last couple of years.
The League of Ireland on social has been brilliant. Like, for a long time, we actually had a lot more followers than the league accounts themselves. Now they've kind of overtaken us just because they're getting the push, I suppose, in the media, because it's the League of Ireland is the focus. But no, it's really the growth, the standard of content has been. It's obviously not perfect because it can never be perfect, but it's so much better than it was.
But it's given the other sporting organisations in this country a good run for their money.
Oh, absolutely,
which kind of didn't for a long time.
Yeah.
But now I'd say the others are kind of standing up and saying, oh, we might need to change our strategy slightly.
Yeah, and that's something we, a couple of times a year, there might be a Zoom call or an in-person sort of conference in Abbottstown where we get access to the numbers of how many followers we're getting, how many people are going to games, people are interacting online, and you see it with the quote-unquote bigger organisations. It's night and day. We're so far ahead of them.
Yeah,
so
it's mad. Like.
That's a real change in the last couple of years, but that's really encouraging for us.
That can be only good, like,
And you know what? It's been like that year on year, and it's not slowing down, and it doesn't look like it's going to be slowing down anytime soon. So that's.
And you can see it with the attendance numbers across the country. Like, they're good. Like,
flying up, yeah.
Darragh
mentioned it there about Shells being Friday's opposition. You look at Talca Park now selling out well in advance. Like, there'd be times you go to Talca Park and there's less than 2,000 there, less than 1,000 there when they're in the first division. Do you know what I mean? So
there's a reason why they moved the game to the Aviva at the start of the season. Like, they'd cash in on the buzz at the start of the season, because Dalymount obviously doesn't have stadium. Like,
and there was talk actually of Shells moving again to the Aviva as well.
Yeah,
recently,
they changed their mind then, I think. Yeah. There was talks. I think it was the Shells and Pats or something like that, was it? But I
don't remember what game it was, but it was one of the Shells games they were looking at moving, which I don't know how far it got, because it was a journalist was talking about it, but got nipped in the bud anyway. It isn't happening. So, but it just shows again that there potentially is the interest. Like, they have, I suppose, outgrown Talca Park to an extent in that it can't accommodate the amount of people they want. But I suppose you look at the stadiums in Dublin as well. A lot of them, I know Tala has had the huge renovations the last couple of years, but Dalymount, Richmond, Talca Park, they're all selling out, but it's a significantly smaller capacity. Like, a lot of clubs would sell out stadiums those sizes.
And actually, sometimes that's in your favour. Like, if your stadium is like 4,000 or something like that, people are like, we better get a ticket, because
it creates a bit of FOMO. Like, I know
probably Rovers find it harder.
Yeah, I know people talk about talk about sellout games. There's a couple of sellouts in Dublin, and Turner's Cross might not be sold out, but there could be 5,000 at Turner's Cross, which isn't a sellout, but that would sell out every stadium, pretty much every other stadium in Ireland, bar Tala. Do you know what I mean? So it's almost like having good facilities is nearly to your detriment, because people are saying, "Oh, you're not selling out." Do you know what I mean?
We'll get there. We'll get there.
Absolutely, we will. Yeah.
Listen, we've sold it out many a time before, and those days again, when we were playing Dundalk for title run-ins and stuff like that.
It felt like there was about 15,000 in the place some of those days.
Many a time there where there was people very disappointed when they were turning up to the gate, and
European games as well. Yeah. Sell out a good bit in advance.
Warsaw and all that time, they were all sold out.
High leg, yeah.
So they were good old days. Well, we might, like, as we said to Darragh, he got to play in one match. Your voice is probably coming in the back.
Do you know what? I was trying to think. I couldn't think of the name of the club. Yeah, Progress Niederkorn.
I think I deleted it from my memory, but anyway.
Yeah, I wish I could.
Yeah,
but as Darragh mentioned, actually that game would have played Rangers in the next round.
But we didn't know that at the time, though, did we?
We did, because one of the depressing parts of my job is I have to have every eventuality prepared for. So I had something ready for full time. Next up, Cork City against Rangers, and it was. Remember, I still have the graphic somewhere. It was John Cotter on one side, Stephen Gerrard on the other side, because he was the Rangers manager at the time. And then, we didn't. We did. I think we beat them on the night, but. Was it away goals or aggregate or something? We got knocked out. I don't remember the score.
That was like the time.
But yeah, the amount of graphics and images I've had that didn't get to go out. There was one 2 years ago. I think I mentioned it on the pod before. We lost to Pats in the FAI Cup semi-final, and the one I had for like us making it to the final. To this day, I'll still say it's one of the best things I've ever made, and it never got to be used. So it's not all glamour. It's not all glamour.
It was like the time there. I think we mentioned it. I don't know when Dan Murray was on or whatever. It was the time that we were playing, I don't know what they're called nowadays, but I think they were called Red Star Belgrade in the qualifiers of the Champions League. And if we had beaten them, we would have been playing AC Milan.
Oh, really? I didn't realise that.
Yeah. So after we beat the team from Cyprus, that was in 2000 and probably six,
I
I'd
think.
say.
Limassol, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Babylon Limassol.
Then we played, I think it was Red Star. But if we had beaten them, the next round in the qualifier was the AC Milan.
Stop.
Imagine AC Milan.
I didn't know that now, to be honest.
I don't
That's
know what they
class.
would have done that time. Like, that would have been interesting because obviously Parky Queeve wasn't an option that time.
Yeah.
It would be now, you would say. But back then, you probably could have ended up in Thomond Park or something. Like, because Turner's
True,
Cross would
yeah.
have been small for it.
At the time, I don't know what the UEFA regulations were as well. Like now, when you get to a certain point, you
You
can't
have
play.
to move it.
Yeah. So I don't know if they were sort of as stringent then or what, but
Hopefully, we'll have those worries in the future.
we absolutely will. Those days will absolutely be back. That's the thing I keep saying to people. Like, yes, it's tough now. We're going through the storm at the minute, but we're coming out the other end of it. Like,
and we're testing Parky Queeve in the summer for it.
absolutely, yeah. For when we make Europa League final, play in Marky Queeve.
Well, Parky Queeve, even with just the seats, is bigger than where the Super Cup is going to be this year.
Really?
So the Super Cup is going to be in a place in Vienna or somewhere, and it's only 20,000 Udine, I think it's called.
Okay. Didn't
not
realise
Vienna,
that.
Venice. So in northern Italy, it's just beyond Venice, and it's called Udine, and it's like 20,000 because they were worried, like if two big massive clubs, because it could happen.
Yeah,
so
of
obviously
course,
Spurs are in, but like PSG or Inter Milan are going to be there as well probably,
Yeah.
and like now if Inter Milan they'll cross over into that place,
Yeah.
but like 20,000 seater stadium, it's
mad,
small
yeah.
enough. Like,
But you look at Bournemouth. Isn't Bournemouth Stadium like 12 or 13,000
Yeah.
in the Premier League? Like,
So
that's not far off Tallaght, like.
like Parky Queeve at 25,000 seats.
Yeah. True. Yeah.
So happy days. We want if we got some massive club, we can always fill in the other stands with temporary seating.
Yeah, no bother, yeah.
We'll worry about
It'll be
that
worth
when
it.
comes.
Yeah.
We're getting carried away again. But the most important thing is fill in the seats on Friday night.
Absolutely. ccfc.ie/tickets. Shells, the Dubs.
The Dubs, come on,
You know what to do.
Jord against Damien.
You know what to do.
Yeah, give him a good welcome.
Turner's Cross welcome.
Turner's
Rebel
Cross
Army welcome.
Welcome to our new boss, and hopefully a good result and a positive.
We go into the break on a positive note.
Positive note to send the lads off on their holidays to wherever they're going.
Look, I'm looking forward to Friday. It's a fresh start, new manager at Turner's Cross.
Yeah, look forward to it. So we'll talk to you next week.
See you next week.